5 wins, no defeats, 17 of those victories by way of knockout. He is a 2012 U.S. Olympian, making his 4th world title defense from Avenal and proudly representing California's Central Valley. He is the reigning, defending WBC, WBO, Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, Hose Ramirez!
Centering, gentlemen. Mouthpiece, mouthpiece. Okay, trunks here. Anything below this line's a foul. Anything below this line's a foul. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to remind you, protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands. God bless you both. Touch up.
You can join in for this championship fight, espn.hearmecheer.com, to have your voice heard. What will we hear early on between these two? Dre, yesterday, when we asked the champ, Hose Ramirez, what he wanted the tone and tenor of this fight to look like early on, he said beating him to the jab, taking control of the fight early with the jab.
Well, that's what you want your fighter to say, especially when he's dealing with a fighter like Viktor Postol, who can be crafty and somewhat jittery. You know, he's always bouncing on his toes. He presents a high guard like he's ready to punch, but he's not always willing to punch. That's what you want to do. You want Ramirez to come behind the jab, so as the fight progresses, you'll start to see it turn into a Hose Ramirez fight. A lot of in-close, mid-range fighting.
Up, up.
You know, every time Ramirez gets close, you're going to see Postol, he's going to reach out and try to grab Ramirez. He's going to try to slow him down and not allow him to work in the inside. Right now, he's having his way on the outside, containing the outside with this jab, and just like Dre said, with this movement as well, stepping back and popping that jab.
He is so long, he glides when he's at his best, coming in with that jab. Of course, Ramirez wants to close that gap like that.
These first 6 rounds are where Postol really wants to live. This is where he's got to take advantage of Hose Ramirez, because we know, if you know Hose Ramirez, you know he likes to press the issue and, you know, step things up as the fight progresses. Postol, not so. He needs to get these rounds in the bag now, so when Ramirez does that, if he's unable to keep up the pace with Ramirez, at least he has the early rounds in the bag.
Let go. Let go. Let him go.
You know, right now I'm real surprised that Ramirez has already worked his way in the inside already on Postol. And you see how Postol is very uncomfortable when he's being pressed. Like I told you guys, he doesn't have a good inside game, and that is where Ramirez loves to live.
Had success with the left hook moments ago. Short right hand on the inside as well. Back to range in the jab of Viktor Postol. .28-0 he started his career, did the Ukrainian. 3-2 since then. Of course, the 2 career losses, Josh Taylor and Terrence Crawford. Going the distance with both. End of 1.
Buen round, Jose. ¿Cómo lo sentiste? ¿No está muy fuerte? Ok, mira. Bonito. Siga, no dejes de mover, ¿ok? Ya en el último...
Very little from Freddie Roach. Now, Freddie is a very, very calm trainer in the corners that we've seen through the years, but then the translation comes from the assistant Oleg Kovalchuk in the corner of Viktor Postol. Freddie wasn't so quiet, though, Timmy, when we met with him last night. He was very firm in his belief as to how things would play out here, saying Postol can outbox him. He's the better boxer compared to Ramirez. That Ramirez, and of course Freddie trained Ramirez, Ramirez is too wide of a puncher. He will go to the body, but we can beat him right up the middle.
Well, Tess, I mean, that's a lot easier said than done. I mean, the thing that was compelling to me when listening to him during the fighter meeting is that Viktor Postol came in with his own plan and also his own workout, and Freddie Roach was like, okay. I'm like, wait, I'm willing to follow this. That blew my mind listening to that in the fighter meeting, you know, because Freddie Roach is a Hall of Fame trainer. Wouldn't you think he would have the training program for a fighter like Postol? That's what I would think. But going back to your question, Tess, Freddie knows Ramirez. Ramirez is a pressure fighter, but he's gotten better under the guidance of Robert Garcia. You know, Robert Garcia has shown him how to move his head from side to side, how to use his jab, you know, and attack the right way.
Well, that is the right game plan on paper. That's the right game plan in theory, but you got to have the right fighter with the right temperament to be able to walk through the fire that Ramirez is bringing with those punches. And, you know, it is fire. Those are heavy shots that are landing when they do land. And Freddie can't help Viktor Postol in that department.
Well, you're going to need more than just a jab to keep Ramirez off of you. You know, you're going to need some power shots as well. We know Ramirez is going to get inside and land those power shots to the head and body of Postol.
There's a left hand to the body. See Doug with that angle. Back to the jab for Postol. Both fighters landed 9 punches apiece in that first round.
Great job by Ramirez, you know, by getting that body work in, even if it's 1 or 2 early on. So as he starts to step things up, Postol will be more of a target because the body work will start to sink in.
Against that long frame of the 36-year-old, 5'11" former champ.
Desire in his conditioning, and it's hard sometimes for an opponent to measure those kind of things. Typically you look for, you know, a specific punch, or, you know, this guy has a good jab, he has good footwork. You don't really see anything from Ramirez that wows you, but what he has on the inside is made up of greatness. His legacy is still being written. He still has big fights that he needs to fight, and, you know, we'll see if he wins those big fights, but the willingness to want to face other champions, and so far he's beaten those champions, that's what greatness is made of.
And that will manifested itself in the 6th round in July of 2019 with that devastating left hook that caved in Maurice Hooker. And that is how he became a unified champion. But it has been the long layoff, 13 months, longest layoff of his career, as he tries to chase down Postol now across the ring. Postol getting out of the way as Ramirez hoping to get him against those ropes.
Yeah, it looks like Postol is getting comfortable now. You know, he's found his range with his jab, coming behind it with some combinations about 15 seconds ago. Ramirez looks a little bit bewildered at the moment. He's looks a little bit uncomfortable. He's trying to be patient. He's not moving his head too much right now, but he needs to get his jab working. Whether you throw the jab to the head, I would prefer it down to the chest or the body of Postol.
I think Ramirez is just taking a breather. And I think he's trying to bring Postol to him. He wants Postol to open up, feel comfortable, and get brave so he can land a big shot.
Short chopping right hand. Then backs him up with a jab of his own.
I think the one thing that we don't talk about often is the chin. You know, Ramirez has a granite chin. I mean, he's been hit by some hard punchers in his division, and he ate these shots, and he came back with his own.
End of 3 from Vegas. Dre, we keep focusing in on the jab of Victor.
Jab-centric fighter. He has an Eastern European style. He has a long left hand. He's a tall fighter with a long reach, and he uses it. That's his biggest asset, and that's what's carried him to a championship, and he hopes it'll carry him to another championship tonight.
Right here, straight as an arrow, right down the middle.
Very good. Seconds out.
And now Freddie Roach is looking to add the next piece of weaponry. As you heard him saying, the jab is beautiful, that long left hand. But the right hand he wants to see straight as an arrow, right down the middle, against his former charge, Jose Ramirez, who he won a world championship with. Ramirez now has Robert Garcia in the corner with him. This is his 4th fight with Garcia. Of course, Robert, a lot that's relatable with Jose, sons of Mexican immigrant farm workers. Bernardo, you were listening in to Robert Garcia after that last round. What can you tell us?
I asked him, how do you get inside that jab? He said it's not going to be easy because Postol's being very effective. But I told Jose, you can't be at that distance. You've got to use your head movement to get inside and dig to the body.
And just moments ago, we saw him try to come over the top with a right hand against that jab. And then he took the angle to the left and did indeed dig to that body, Dre.
Yeah, he's trying. He's doing what he has to do. You know, he took a little bit of a round off in the 3rd round, and he's picking up the pace, you know, per Robert Garcia's instructions. But again, I said this in the beginning that Victor Postol, historically, the 2 guys that he lost to, Terrence Crawford and Josh Taylor, they didn't have stellar performances. They took care of business and they got the win, but he's a very difficult guy to make a statement against.
2016 was when Crawford was able to unify titles at 140 pounds. June of 2018 was when Josh Taylor had the 12-round unanimous decision victory against Victor Postol.
Let go, stop.
There's a right hand that's going to be available as this fight continues to materialize for Ramirez. Right over the right over the jab of Victor Postol. You see it starting to come back a little slower than earlier in the fight. It's a tad bit slower.
I talked about the pressure that Ramirez is under tonight because even though he's facing Victor Postol and he has to focus on Postol, Josh Taylor's watching. And Josh Taylor expects Ramirez to win tonight, but he's also looking for weaknesses. He's looking for holes in his game. He's looking for things that he can exploit. So that's why I mentioned that it's not about Jose Ramirez just winning tonight, but how he wins.
Josh Taylor has a mandatory title defense coming up next month. And then the plan is if both of these men can get through these title fights, that they would meet up so that the sport can crown what would be only its 2nd undisputed junior welterweight champion in the 4-belt era. The first being Bud Crawford. There have only been 4 men in the 4-belt era to be undisputed champions among all the weight classes.
How do you feel? You feel strong?
The aforementioned Bud Crawford did it at 140 pounds with his knockout of Julius Ndongo, a fight that we called in Nebraska. Usyk did it most recently, and then the 2 middleweights, B-Hop and Jermaine Taylor. But when you look at that list, what is most conspicuous to Jose Ramirez is that a Hispanic fighter has never accomplished that. And he has talked time and again about his pride in being a Mexican American and everything that his parents have gone through. He is very politically active in California's agricultural Central Valley. He is an advocate for the little guy. He has talked often about being pro-immigrant and proud. And it would mean the world to him as a Mexican-American, as the son of immigrants, to be the first to become an undisputed champion with the 4 belts. That is the goal.
Ramires right now just giving too much space for Postol. Postol's having his way. This is where Ramires needs to live. He needs to try to get in the inside and stay in the inside and not allow Postol to extend like that with his punches, with his jab especially.
Bernardo, what are you hearing from Freddie Roach?
He's happy with the performance of Viktor Postol so far. He says, look, I know Ramires is going to start coming, but all we need to do is keep him at bay with that jab and continue to work the body to stay within the plan.
Believe it or not, fellas, Postol wants to win this fight. But the reality is, even if he looks good and loses this fight, he lives to fight another day. That, in and of itself, is somewhat of a victory for a 37-year-old, aging, former champion in Viktor Postol.
He told us he sits here at 36 years old, but he feels that he has 3 good years left in him, at least.
Well, right now, Viktor Postol seems to me that he's winning this fight at this very moment. By controlling range, not allowing Ramires to get in close.
Stop.
He's fighting a really calculated fight tonight.
Not sure he's winning, but this is definitely Postol's best round. And, you know, one fighter's been off for 13 months, longest layoff. The other fighter, Viktor Postol, has been off for 16 months. Layoffs treat fighters differently. Fighters respond differently to layoffs. So as the fight progresses, I want to see how the layoff treated both guys. Because that's when it shows up, later in the fight.
Nice little step out right there from Postol. Getting out, then get back out of his range, and pretty sure that jab's going to be coming. What Ramires needs to do, he needs to try to cut off the ring on Postol. Cut the ring off, dig down to the body, punch where he thinks he's going to move to. Set him up, use feints, change his rhythm up a little bit. Stop coming through the front door, try to get in through the side door. He's making it too easy for Postol to hit him.
End of 5 here in our championship fight, and another championship in the sport right now, coming off of the pandemic when the sport was off for 3 months, and now here's the ramp up of everybody wanting to get back to action. And Herring is set up, if he can get past a kendo, then a showdown with Carl Frampton. Round 6 here. CompuBox right now has Viktor Postol with a 63-51 connect advantage, and he has landed 32 of 112 jabs thrown.
This is why I was unwilling to write Viktor Postol off in the build-up to this fight at the beginning of the night, because you always got to leave room for a fighter, even if he's aging, a former champion, to fight like a champion once again. He's not winning this fight on my scorecard, but he's hanging in this fight, and he's slowly starting to pile up rounds, the last round and the first part of this round.
Dre, you got to be kidding me. You saying that Postol's not winning this fight right now? Are you kidding me? He's clearly outboxing Ramires. He's hit Ramires more than
Tim, you see my
Ramires
scorecard, right?
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, but I will say this. I will say this.
The jab.
Whenever you have two very smart, erudite boxing minds here who disagree on scoring, it is often because of this kind of style. One guy who wants to be the aggressor and press, the other guy who wants to box behind a long left hand. You can see it 2 different ways.
Joe, I respect him. I respect Tim's opinion, but I'm gonna say this: I was pleased and surprised with how quickly Ramirez came out in the first 4 rounds in this fight. I expected Postol to, win those early rounds and Ramirez to come on late, and they switched positions. So Ramirez was very, very effective in the first 4 rounds. I mean, Postol landed some jabs, but nothing to win the first 4 rounds of this fight.
Work to get out. Work to get out.
3-punch combination from Postol, just touching him.
What did Ramirez land? What did Ramirez land?
He threw more punches, he landed more punches, and he's dictating the fight. The last 2 rounds, this is the 4th round and the 5th round are the only 2 rounds where I started to tell myself, okay, Viktor Postol starting to settle down and land some punches. Other than that, it was all Jose Ramirez.
Tried to come over the top with that right hand.
There's that. There it is.
Halfway point with the WBC and WBO, the unified junior welterweight belts on the line. Let's listen in. Centered on where the fight stands here at the halfway mark, rather than actual fight strategy and instructions. And you could hear the concern in the voice of Garcia. Don't give away any more rounds. You have to win these rounds clearly right now.
Garcia's saying that because he knows Postol and he knows that he's the type of fighter, especially at this stage in his career, where he'll be as good as you allow him to be. And you don't want to give an old cagey fighter with a lot of experience any extra confidence to feel like he not only belongs, but that he can win the fight.
I think he's being honest with this fighter, and he's telling him what he's supposed to tell him to get him going, to get his people going in this fight. You can see the intensity now. The tempo has picked up for Ramirez. He's looking to land more often now. He's not just sitting in front waiting. Ramirez has to go down to the body of Postol. He needs to take his attention downstairs, bring those hands down, keep Postol still by hitting him to the body, and then surprise him with something over the top. Again, that right hand is available for Ramirez.
Short shot, left hand from the champ. Now he's coming after him. It's a short left hand on the inside from Ramirez that gave him an opportunity. One offensive surge. And now a jab that's effective, snapping back the head.
There it is again, the body shot, Tess.
Sweeping across with that left hand, trying to get something going, trying to close the gap against Postol.
Postol definitely got buzzed with that left hook, but overall, I think he took the shot pretty well.
He took it well, but the biggest punch of the night so far landed.
Good shot from Postol.
Sure was. Right hand came behind the jab. Very entertaining 7th round here in Vegas. Tim, take us through that left hand from Jose Ramirez.
Beautiful left hand right here from Jose Ramirez. Just letting his hands go, just listening to Robert Garcia. Great instructions in the corner. If you let your hands go, trust me, something's gonna land. But that was a nice short left hook right there underneath the chin of Postol. Postol was trying to get back, and where did his back hit? The ropes. He had nowhere to go. Great job closing the distance on Postol, and Ramirez landing that lethal shot right there that caused damage and wreaked havoc on Viktor Postol.
And then he chased him down and split the guard with a 1-2.
Okay.
But then Postol steadied himself, came back late in that round. But in that 7th round, Jose Ramirez was able to land 13 power punches. And that is his high output of the night.
Those body shots right there is going to set up something over the top. Postol don't like that, don't like the punches downstairs.
Oh, and there's a left hand right to the belt line. Let's check in with Bernardo.
Ramirez has now found his rhythm.
Freddie told me, look, I need him to sit down on that 1-2 more. We see that he's coming on. We cannot allow him to bully him into the ropes. So he's got to throw right up the middle.
Got to keep him honest. If you're Postol, you absolutely have to throw that right hand. Round 8. Unified World Championship on the line, and there's another shot by Ramirez as he hits the gas pedal again, and then Postol gets out to safety to the middle. Those quick bursts from Ramirez, they've been effective.
Trust me, any fighter in there that's fighting Ramirez, you do not want to motivate him. If he even sees that he hurt you, that's confidence building, and he's going to keep that motor coming all night long.
The scouting report for most Eastern European fighters, not all, but most, are great boxers, traditional stance, not a lot of bend in the knees, and just good short jabs that they don't telegraph. They just stick it out there, but they don't have an inside game. That's not how they were taught. Ramirez needs to take this fight inside as often as possible because Postol is crafty enough to make this thing ugly, like I've been saying, and to possibly sneak some shots in of his own. That's why I like the way Ramirez came out in the first 3 or 4 rounds, because he never gave Postol even a glimmer of hope to believe that he could win this fight. Of course, generally he wants to win it, but it's another thing, you know, in terms of what's going on the inside. But then he started to allow Postol to have a little bit of confidence. That's why you see more energy, more bounce from Postol. He believes that he could possibly win this fight.
Things have clearly changed after that 6th round when Robert Garcia had that talk with Jose Ramirez. Another warning from Russell Mora. 7-time Trainer of the Year, Freddie Roach, sending out Viktor Postol for round number 9. The former WBC junior welterweight titleist who won the belt back in 2015. Here he is 5 years later, trying to take 2 belts away from the undefeated Jose Ramirez. Ramirez right now has a 96-91 connect advantage, more effective when it comes to the power punching. Clearly we've seen that on the inside. He has thrown 195 power punches, landing 70. Now that up jab finding its target. Bernardo, what is Robert Garcia saying now after a couple successful rounds from the champ?
He saw exactly that. The last 2 rounds were successful. I want him to keep pressuring. I want him to connect that left hook, work that body. But Postol is tough. It's tough to get inside. He's very smart, very cagey. So we just need to keep pressuring.
You know, you see Ramirez, he's throwing 1 jab. you know, when he had success, it was when he used the double jab or came with the 1-2-1. He needs to throw more combinations if he wants to get inside.
Good steady jab from Viktor Postol. You see, that jab that's taught in that Eastern European system is very, very difficult to deal with because, you know, that's what I struggled with Kovalev in our first fight, at least for the first few rounds, was that his jab always was in position and it just traveled 2 to 3 inches. He never telegraphed it. And you'll find yourself thinking about what you want to do while the fighter with the good jab is punching and he's just piling up points and he's trying to line up a right hand. Very difficult to deal with. You see Ramirez deal with it better at certain points, and then you see with him get hit with it. So if I'm Postol, you keep that jab going.
Stop! Watch your heads, watch your heads. Let him go. Hands free.
And if I'm also Postol,
Let him go.
he needs to start coming with more right hands and left hooks, and even body shots like you just saw right there off of the jab, because contrary to what Tim Bradley's saying, Viktor Postol is not winning this fight right now.
Well, it's been a couple of rounds since I said that, Dre.
Time!
And
let's get you up to
Ramirez
speed with some of the
up.
news and notes going on in the sport, including
excellent boxing. Everything off his jab, good movement. And every now and then he'll turn over that right hand on Ramirez.
The tough thing about the style of Jose Ramirez is you respect it. You know, you see the heart, you see, you know, just the conditioning. You see all the things, the intangibles and the tangibles, the things we talked about all throughout the night. But for him, every fight is going to be a tough fight. Even fights that you say he dominates, he still takes punches in order to get inside, just based on his style and the way he goes about his craft. That starts to add up over time. Even sparring sessions, you know.
Well, in Robert Garcia corner, you know, you hear the urgency. You hear the tension in his voice. He said we need these 2 rounds, and I believe that Ramirez needs these 2 rounds. I believe this fight is very, very close.
left hand to the body, short right uppercut on the inside from the champ. 123 to 118 connect advantage for Ramirez. Jab output from Postol. He's landed 54 of 239.
You know, to me, the jab is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It sets up the offense, but the power shots, I believe, is what matters most. You know, if you land in, vicious power shots on your opponent, more than just a jab, I think you should get more credibility.
Well, of course.
Power shots.
Effective punching, clean, effective punching.
And there's another thing. You know, Ramirez has been the boss. He's been dictating the pace all night. So, judges like when guys, dictate the pace and come forward. And usually when guys dictate the pace and come forward, typically they win these fights, these type of fights that
Tim,
are
you made
close.
my point for me, and that's what I was saying, a few rounds ago, is that you have CompuBox, you have punches thrown, punches landed, and then you have a story of a fight. The story of the fight for me has been Ramirez coming on and building up a lead, Postol getting comfortable, winning a few rounds, and then the last 2 or 3 rounds have been, they could have gone either way. They're swing rounds. So to me, that's the story of the fight. Is overall, Jose Ramirez has been in control of this fight, but Postol has always been dangerous.
A little bit of loose tape around that left wrist of Postol. There's the 1-2 that Freddie Roach, and again, wants to see plenty of.
Wow. Time. Scissors.
And now they will handle that loose tape that we noted.
Cut this up fast.
If you're Postol, you don't let the referee know that you have loose tape. You just had some momentum. You just landed two good right hands. Why would you stop and look at the ref and say, stop the action? I don't understand. Let the referee do his job.
And by the way, in this day and age of COVID protocols, God bless Marvin Samodio, the assistant in the corner, who just cut the tape with his teeth.
Last round.
Hard. That's what Jose Ramirez has done his whole life for the people where he comes from, for his family, and his opponents know that well. Keep throwing shots, punches in bunches. What can he offer here with his 2 world championships on the line? 12th and final round.
You know, testing Postol is, you know, smart like I think he is. I think it's the perfect time right now. He's landing the right hand, but if he throws that right hand underneath and surprise Ramirez, could do some serious damage. Uppercut.
You know, I have Ramirez up 7 rounds to 4 right now. But some of the rounds, like I said, 9, 10, those can be swing rounds. You never know how a judge is going to score rounds that are close where one guy comes on early and another guy closes the show. So the fight could be up for grabs, and Postol has to fight that way. And so does Ramirez.
Let's see if Ramirez can get this 12th round to a place where it's the volume and the work rate that Robert Garcia wants to see. As Freddie Roach's charge continues with the jab and the right hand behind it. Long and consistent Victor Postol.
And Ramirez came out strong, like I've been saying all night. He just seems that he went flat, and I don't know if that's Victor Postol. I don't know if that's the long training camps over the last, you know, X amount of months with several postponements and long, you know, just all the rounds that he had in sparring. Regardless of what the reason is, it happened, and Postol is taking advantage of it tonight.
Had a couple good body shots in the mix there moments ago. Of course, a 13-month layoff and 3 training camps, considering 2 postponements for this world title fight. Final minute of the final round. WBC, WBO belts on the line here. Title defense for Jose Ramirez. So much still lies ahead if he can pull out this win. Wants the showdown to have an undisputed champion with Josh Taylor. Trying to give an angle there and come back with the left hand.
Postol is boxing very well this round. He's countering, he's leading, and he's making Jose Ramirez pay for every mistake that he makes.
And there's the 1-2 from Postol, and then touches him with the left hand again. Time to let loose. Time to listen to what Garcia said if you're Ramirez. Punches in bunches. There's the clap. Here's the stretch run.
In front. Go. Good job. Good job.
And now 20 of Postol.